You'd never guess what's most useful for your safety as a passenger on an airplane. Welcome everyone to my channel. What you see is every real flight. We will share every wonderful flight together and explain some very useful and affordable flight-related knowledge, if you find it practical. Please like, share and turn on the little bell. Today is another new flight. The aircraft has been pushed back from the parking bay, started up, and is waiting to taxi out. From taxiing out to takeoff, the cabin crew will demonstrate the use of cabin emergency equipment. Most airlines mainly emphasize the use of oxygen masks, life jackets and other related equipment, but what we are going to talk about today is the most important safety facility during the entire flight, the seat belt. The importance of seat belts is often overlooked. As a pilot, I tell everyone that seat belts are the most important safety feature throughout our entire flight. During the taxiing phase of the aircraft, especially at busy airports, the aircraft often stops and goes. This is due to taxiing conflicts on the ground and sometimes sudden braking. If you stand in the cabin, you are likely to fall. If you're in your seat without a seat belt fastened, you could fly out of your seat and hit the back of the seat in front of you. We are operating a small airport today. Our aircraft will enter the runway from the middle and taxi on the runway until it reaches the end of the runway. The aircraft will then make a 180-degree turn to line up the runway. During this 180-degree turn, the aircraft will rotate 180 degrees with the center of the circle near the wings of the aircraft. At this time, especially for passengers sitting at the rear of the plane, your lateral movement distance is the longest. If you do not fasten your seatbelt, you may be thrown out of your seat. Now that our aircraft is aligned with the runway, the aircraft will accelerate from prohibited to takeoff speed. The takeoff speed is generally determined based on the weight of the aircraft, wind direction and speed, outside temperature, and air pressure. For medium-sized aircraft such as the Airbus A320 series, the aircraft can generally lift off the ground at about 275 km per hour. During the entire takeoff process, the most common unsafe events are that the aircraft suddenly rejects takeoff at high speed and veers off the runway. If these two situations happen, everyone will know how important seatbelts are at this time. Now, as you can see, our plane has lifted off the ground. At this stage, the plane will pass through thick clouds. It is winter. Generally, the clouds are thicker in winter, but the airflow is stable and you will not feel any obvious turbulence. But it's different in the summer. The airflow in summer is unstable, and the plane will cause obvious turbulence when it passes through clouds as thick as today. Therefore, during the takeoff stage, seatbelts are important equipment to ensure safety. During the entire process of passing through the clouds, we saw a vast expanse of white outside in the cockpit, and the visibility was very poor. At this time, we mainly used radar to scan for possible dangerous weather ahead. Once we find a thunderstorm cloud, we will choose to divert, because accidentally entering a thunderstorm cloud will cause serious turbulence to the aircraft and even damage the aircraft body. Of course, thunderstorm clouds usually appear in summer, so when flying in summer, it is recommended that you wear your seatbelt the whole time. During our cruise phase, the aircraft will fly level for a long time. Generally, there will be no particularly obvious turbulence during this phase. If it enters turbulence, the pilot will also avoid the turbulence by changing the flight level and avoiding the turbulent area. But this is not 100% safe, because clear sky turbulence is unpredictable. Once you enter the clear sky turbulence area, if you do not fasten your seatbelt, you may be injured due to the bumps. Two of the most horrific unsafe events during the cruise phase are the most vulnerable: an explosive release of pressure and a dramatic change in aircraft attitude. Both of these situations are mostly caused by mechanical failures of the aircraft. When an aircraft undergoes an explosive decompression, due to the huge pressure difference between the inside and outside of the high-altitude aircraft, everything that is not fixed inside the aircraft will be sucked out of the aircraft. If you don't fasten your seatbelt at this time, you will be sucked out of the plane. If an abnormally large posture change occurs and you are not wearing a seatbelt, you will be thrown into the air and injury will be inevitable. As you can see now, our plane is flying in a mountainous area, surrounded by mountains. Our landing airport today is a plateau airport in a mountainous area. For pilots, it is very difficult to land at an airport in a mountainous area because there is a risk of the plane hitting the mountain at any time. It is also difficult to fly at plateau airports because the air on the plateau is thin, the performance of the aircraft is relatively poor, and it is difficult to control the aircraft, which greatly tests the technical level of the pilots. For travelers, the plane flies in mountainous areas. Due to the influence of the terrain, once the plane descends into the mountainous area, the turbulence will be very violent. Therefore, when you know that your destination is a mountainous area or a plateau, it is best to fasten your seatbelt throughout the entire journey. Now, you can see that the runway is in front of you. There are mountains on both sides of the runway. The airport is built on the top of the mountain. This is a test for the pilot's landing skills. Let's experience the landing of the aircraft on the mountainous plateau from the perspective of the pilot.